Welcome everybody to the Finance Road Trip Podcast Part 2, the Black Wall Street Tour, also known as the Digital Financial Revolution Tour, where I take you on my journey to 22 cities with cryptocurrency exchange owner Naja Roberts with the goal to close the wealth gap through group economics and financial literacy and a focus on Bitcoin, which we believe to be the evolution of money. Naja Roberts and Hill Harper partnered to create the Black Wall Street Wallet, where you can buy, sell, and send your Bitcoin to your cold wallet. Make sure to follow me on all major platforms at CJ the Smart Guy and check out thedfrtour.com for more information on 2022 tour. Thank you. So we left Detroit really late at night and we pulled up to Chicago extremely early in the morning. And yes, we had a magnificent hotel and we had really good sleep. But in Chicago, we actually had 2 events in one day. So I only went to 22 cities. I didn't get a chance to go to every single one. But this was my very first city where we actually had multiple places to talk about cryptocurrency on the same day. So we pulled up to Christ Tabernacle Church on the west side of Chicago. Shout outs to Reverend Michael Wright. He was a city ally. And we get there, and this is a really cool scene. All the chairs are outside. And the weather is nice. It's still COVID. So, a lot of people have masks on, but not everybody because we are outside. And so while we were talking, you start seeing cars go by, like those spider cars with the 3 wheels. They're pulling up, and it was just cool to see somebody hop out one of those spider cars and then come to our event. Shout outs to Buddha Best for that. She came, she performed, and it was just a great event. We were speaking outside. And one thing about Chicago is that there's a lot of love in Chicago. Like, the people are very tight knit. They love each other. People gave hugs. They wanted pictures. They were very receptive to everything. So big shout outs to Chicago. Shout outs to Reverend Wright again. Shout outs to Buddha Best. And it was just a great time. So from Christ Tabernacle Church, we wound up leaving. And then we went to Brian Leach Basketball Court on the south side of Chicago. And on the way, we passed by Hyde Park. So Hyde Park in Chicago is very, very different than Hyde Park in California. So me being from L.A., when I hear Hyde Park, I think, South Central, Los Angeles. I think West Side L.A., more hood than the Hyde Park in Chicago. The Hyde Park in Chicago is like the upscale part of Chicago. This is where Obama lives. And you also have the DuSable Museum of African American History, which I didn't get to go to, but I would like to go to. And you also have the Obama Presidential Center, which I'm not sure if the construction is done yet, but I know in 2021 they were really trying to make that a big thing. So it was just cool going from the west side of Chicago to the south side of Chicago, seeing the vast differences and also seeing where Obama grew up. Hyde Park, Chicago is very different than Hyde Park, LA. Just so that's known. So back to the story. Shout outs to I Am Rage, Operation Safe Neighborhood, and Reverend Fellows. Because look, when we got to the basketball court, I've never seen that many police officers in one spot when there was no crime being committed or it wasn't an actual police department. So the police out there were extremely deep. You had signs up that were basically calling this a no-gun zone, which, is Chicago, south side of Chicago. This is stuff that Kanye West talks about. Not just Kanye, but other rappers. Look at King Von, rest in peace. But he's from 64th and Martin Luther King, and that's less than 2 miles away from this basketball court. So we're really in the hood. We're really reaching the people that really need to be reached out to. Because when we look at the condition of our inner cities, most of that is due to intentional, systematic oppression of our communities, whether it's through redlining, gentrification, or just bad policing. And so it was just great to see the whole community show up, and it was completely peaceful. So big shout outs to Chicago. The event at the Brian Leach Basketball Court by far was the most people that had come out in the entire tour that I had been to. Like I said, I missed events like New York and Ohio and things of that nature. But from what I had been to, this Chicago event, the second one, was the biggest one so far. However, my experience was kind of conflicted, right? So you had the biggest turnout out of all the events. However, I feel like most of them weren't really paying attention, and it bothered me. I spoke on it when I was there. They gave me the microphone. I spoke on it, but I feel like a lot of them were there for support, which is a great thing. They showed out for community, but I don't know if they were actually listening. What I will say is that Kweisi, our tour manager, Kweisi the Kappa, he was from Chicago. Like, he's originally from Chicago. And I think that Chicago was really his event. So this whole Chicago event to me is dedicated to Kweisi. He made sure everybody showed up. He brought family, he brought friends, he brought the whole community. It was really, really dope. They all came out. We had music, people had food, there were vendors over there, people were playing basketball, they were listening to some degree, but it was just cool to see how many people came out and showed up for Kweisi. And he spoke to everybody, talked about his story with his younger brother. From my understanding, that it was his little brother when they were younger. Kweisi was in college, his younger brother was still in Chicago at home, and Kweisi had gotten a call saying that his brother had been shot. And so the story behind it was essentially that his little brother was trying to save a girl from being gang raped. The girl was underage and his younger brother was trying to stop it. And the gang apparently didn't like that he was trying to stop it, so they took him aside and they blew his head off with a shotgun. And so as the older brother, being Kweisi, he drove all the way from this college all the way up to Chicago to try to check up on his brother to see if, he was still living, which of course he wasn't at that point. And, it was just a really sad type, story that he was telling. But you could see that Kweisi for sure uses art, whether it's poetry, whether it's books, whether, whatever type of art form that he's using to cope with that type of trauma. And I feel bad for him. I got to know him really well on tour, and just to see the people show out because they know about that story. They know about the devastation that created in his family. And, to see Chicago show up for Kweisi was real powerful. And he also brought his son, Navon Love, not just to Chicago, but the whole tour. And so Navon's performance in Chicago was really nice because in his song, the remix to Roddy Ricch's High Fashion, he mentions that he's from Chicago and he was wearing a Bulls jersey and he got to reunite with his family. So that was just a great, great time period. I think Chicago was a very heartfelt time. It was also exhausting, getting in really, really late, going to the first event at the church, then traveling to the south side of Chicago, going to the basketball court. And because it was the biggest amount of turnout that I had been to, there were a whole bunch of people that asked questions. And so we spoke with each and every one of them. Big shout outs to Denver the Mogul. He was paying very close attention. He came with his girlfriend. He made sure to network. I know that through his networking, he's a record label owner and a serial entrepreneur. And so it was just great seeing him come out. He was taking videos, pictures. He came with his girl, taking notes. Afterwards, he reached out to me, and then he reached out to me via social media. And like I've said before, I've said it with Detroit, where Brittany Trust came out and made sure that, she networked with us. Denver, the Mogul, did the exact same thing. And that's how you get plugged up. When you hear about these events, you travel to them, you network with us because, if I can't help you out, I probably know somebody who probably can, because this group is growing. We are now 150,000 strong Black Bitcoin billionaire members on Clubhouse. So make sure you guys are checking us out. Make sure you come to the 2022 tour. Denver the Mogul definitely came out and networked with us. So big shout outs to him. Kai Wilson, she also showed up. Big shout outs to her. She is the founder of the Ready, Set, Free podcast. I actually did a podcast episode with her entitled Cryptocurrencies and Taxes. It's episode 26 back in April 2021, where I talk about cryptocurrency, taxes, how crypto's changing the world, things of that nature. And she also brought snacks. So once again, to everybody that went on tour, I try to give everybody shout outs who brought snacks, because when we're on tour, we're going from one city to another to another. We're in multiple vehicles. Naja's got kids with her. And so just to have somebody say, hey, we see what you're doing. I drove to, come support you. And I gave you guys some snacks. That's really big. So big shout outs to Kai Wilson for that. It's greatly appreciated. I think overall Chicago was a great city. I look forward to going back again 2022. I believe we'll be out there July 6th at 6 p.m. at the same Brian Leach Basketball Court, which is 7201 South Dobson in Chicago, Illinois. So make sure you guys go to thedfrtour.com. You can scroll down to Chicago. Like I said, Wednesday, July 6th at 6 p.m. is when we should be out there. And make sure you bring your friends and your family, because even though Chicago is already the biggest, turnout that I have been to, we need to make sure that that's big for 2022 as well. So big shout outs to Chicago. I loved the event. It was great meeting everybody. CJ the Smart Guy, I'm out. Deuce.